Second day of exams, English literature. Okay, narrate the taming of the shrew.
Okay. Okay. The timing of the shrew. So, uh, so, um, Baptista had two daughters named Bianca and Catherine. Bianca was sweet and beautiful, but Catherine was kind of the opposite as her sister, Bianca. And Bianca had a lot of suitors, but Catherine didn't even have any suitors. Like, ano, Bianca had a lot of suitors, and her suitors wanted to marry her. But those suitors, Baptista said to those suitors that Catherine, the older one, the older sister, should get married first. So they had to find someone to marry Catherine. So they found a man named Petruchio. Now Petruchio, he was actually willing to marry Catherine, and he kind of said to Catherine that they will get married on Sunday. Now when it was Sunday, because he said to them that he would tame her right away. Now when it was Sunday, he wanted to annoy the girl by coming in late and literally having the worst suit ever. So she was very annoyed and she was not happy. Alright? So now, Petruchio is going to teach her a lesson. He kind of found fault in her food because it didn't actually, it was bad food. And and he was very grumpy to show her how ugly it looked when people were grumpy and angry and annoying. And it's not the end yet, of course not. When it was time to finally sleep after a long day, now Mr. Petruchio, he didn't let Catherine sleep, and because he took the bed sheets and the pillows and a blanket away from the bed so she couldn't sleep. Or she couldn't sleep. And she had to listen to his ranting for the whole night. She could just have fixed it on the floor, but okay. Diba? But anyways, maybe Petruchio didn't let her. Anyways, let's go. So the next day, since Catherine did not get any sleep, she wanted to eat. But no, she still got food. But Petruchio found fault in the food. Again. It was not really good food. Of course, Catherine was really she was really disappointed. So like she didn't really want to eat. Because like she lost her appetite. The next day again. Oh yeah, first Catherine. Wait, no. The next day, which is the third day already. When I think Bianca was already married. Yeah. She wanted to eat, but her food was taken away from her. But she was hungry. She wanted to eat, but her food was taken away from her because the tailor that that Petruccio, and like I don't know how to say this, like hired the tailor that Petruccio hired came, and so her food was taken away, and she was just at the table hungry, and she wanted to wear this hat, but her husband said that that hat was not for like bad-tempered people. So like she had to learn how to be not bad-tempered so that she can wear the hat. And so yeah, so like when they were going to visit Baptista, also Catherine has changed her bad-tempered self already, because like she doesn't want to live in the ranting of Petruccio, so she changed herself. Of course they were going, but then Petruccio said, "Oh look, it's the moon." "That's the sun," said Catherine. Then Petruccio said, "No, it's the moon. And whenever I say it's the moon, then it's the moon." "Fine, master," said Catherine. Now when they got to Baptista's house, when they got to Baptista's house, but si Bianca was already married, and of course there was a party, and Petruccio said to the other boys, the other men there, that he made Catherine change. Now there was Lucencio, who is the actual husband of Bianca, and Hortensio, because someone else also got married, and yeah, Hortensio. So yeah, and so they had a contest of 20 crowns. Yeah, 12 crowns, or like 12, a dozen crowns, and like yeah. So oh yeah, before that, after the tailor went, let's go back to far in the story. Mr. Petruccio, he paid the tailor. Now. See Catherine, she really wanted food, so she asked her husband's servant. But her husband's servant knew what her husband was doing, so he asked, "What food?" She said any food, and then she asked, "Do you like this food?" He asked that, and then she said, "Yes, that's okay." But the servant said, "But that food is not good for hasty-tempered people. Ugh, just any food." And then he asked, "How about this food?" "Yeah, okay," said Catherine. But then, no, the servant said, "Well, that's also not for hasty-tempered people. Would you like mustard and beef?" Then, Catherine said, "Yes." But then another servant said, "Okay, so then mustard?" "No," said Catherine. "I want mustard and beef." "Oh, so you want beef without mustard?" said the servant. "No, I want mustard with beef." "Okay, beef. Okay, mustard it is then," said the servant. Now Catherine saw that he was just making fun of her. So she boxed his ears back. Let's go back to the 12 crowns bet. Now, whoever gets their wife to come there, to their husbands, will win. Now, Lucencio and Hortensio sent for their wives, but they wouldn't come because they were busy. Then, Mr. Petruchio sent for his wife, and Catherine came in a minute. So, they were very surprised by this. Then, Mr. Baptista. Wait, no. First, Mr. Petruchio asked what were the other girls doing, and Catherine said they're chatting at the fireplace. Can you call them?" "Yes," said Catherine. So she called them. Now, then Baptista said to Petruchio, "Wow, you have really changed my daughter. I will give you 20 more crowns because you have changed my daughter." And yeah, so they all lived happily ever after. The end. Okay, I'm done. So that was so long.
Yes. Why did Jupiter grant Philemon and Baucis' wish?
Why did Jupiter grant Baucis and Philemon's wish?
Yes.
Because Baucis and Philemon were the only people that were kind to them when they were disguised as peasants.
What was their wish?
Their wish was to be the guardians of Jupiter's temple, and another wish of theirs was that they would be together until they die, and then they would meet each other again. Yeah, they would just be together until they die. Yeah.
Tell the myth of the spinning contest.
Okay. Tell the myth of the spinning contest. So once there was a girl named Arachne. Arachne and her family were poor, but Arachne, she brought happiness to her family. Happiness to her family. Now, Arachne, she liked to spin stuff. She liked to spin. And a lot of people from the world would watch her spin because it was beautiful when she spinned. It looked beautiful. Now, so one time the nymphs, because the nymphs also like to watch her, they said, "Oh, she probably learned from Athena." Then since Mrs. Arachne heard it, she said, "Oh, no. If anyone was the student, it would have been her. I would have been the teacher. Just call her and let's do a spinning contest with her." Now, this showed that her pride had taken over her. So, the nymphs, they were scared. Athena, she had heard of Arachne, and she came to see if the rumors were true. Now, she was watching Arachne as an old woman, disguised as an old woman. And she heard Arachne boast her her talent again, comparing herself to Athena. Now, Mrs. Athena said, "Oh, you can compare yourselves to mortals, but do not compare yourselves to the gods, or else you will get a bad punishment. Athena is very forgiving, so apologize, and she will forgive you." "Silly old lady," said Arachne. "Keep your words to yourself, and keep it for your handmaidens and granddaughters." Now, Athena, she turned into her normal self, as in the goddess Athena, and then she said, "Oh!" And then everyone went on their knees to show respect for Athena. But Mrs. Arachne didn't even act surprised. And she wasn't even surprised after all. So she didn't really need to act. And then when she found out that it was actually Athena, who is the old goddess, who is the elderly woman, she repeated the spinning contest thing, and Athena accepted the challenge. So, of course, most of you might think that Athena would win. But actually, Athena put the fight of her and Poseidon to have a city named after them, and she won. So she also put she also put some she also put wait what do you call it? An oak tree ba? Wait, no. Olive tree in the middle of it, and at the four sides was her fight with Poseidon. Now, Mrs. Arachne, she put what do you call it? She put flying birds at the middle, and she put the punishments of the gods when they kind of like interfere with the mortals, because sometimes gods also make mistakes. And by looking at it, Athena, she just knew that Arachne had won. But this just made her more angry, so she kind of just she turned Arachne. She kind of like ripped and destroyed Arachne's creation, and she said, "You know what? If you like spinning so much, I'll just turn you into a creature that you will, and then you can finally spin forever. Yes, forever." The end. Go to sleep. Now, spiders.
What happened to Arachne?
Oh, she turned tinier. Her face disappeared. And then she turned into a black thing with 8 legs. And now that is kind of like, I think that was the alamat of the spider. Yeah.
What lesson did you learn from that story?
To not compare myself with the gods.
That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, tell how Christian and hopeful came through the waters at last.
Okay, so Christian, you mean like the Dark River? Do you mean the Dark River?
How did they came through the water?
Come to the water.
Yeah, pala. Oo. How did they come through the water?
So like you're talking about the Dark River, right? Okay. So Christian was still a bit scared, but Hopeful wasn't scared anymore. So he said to trust the king in it, and then they would pass safely. Now Christian closed his eyes, but Hopeful, he didn't, and he went. And then they could see the lights of the celestial city. Christian could now woke up and could also see it. Now they had passed the river, and they were very happy.